Are you trying to figure out what your life purpose is and you wish someone would just give you a blueprint with some answers? Well, I've got good news for you today because in this video, I'm going to be giving you that blueprint based on over 15 years of experience coaching business owners and high achievers and high performers. Hi, my name is Amanda Abeo. Welcome to Mindful Success Path. On this channel, we help you get the results that you're looking for a lot faster without all the extra stress. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel, because we're going to be talking psychology, neuroscience, spirituality, meditation, mindfulness, energetics, all of it in one place. And if you would like to take the stuff that we're talking about in this video a step further, I've put together a free manifestation guide for you on how I completely rewired my brain in a few months' time to start allowing love into my life, start allowing more success into my life, have more business start coming to me instead of me having to go out and grind and hustle to go find the business, and also finally start living out one of my dreams of traveling full-time and living in other countries like I'm doing right now in Mexico. So you can grab the free guide below, because all of those things that I just mentioned did actually lead me to where I am today, where I do feel more energized and on purpose after several years of feeling like I had maybe lost my purpose. So let's get into it. How do you find your life purpose? First of all, I think people can have several life purposes, because for some people, maybe a part of your life purpose is being a mom, but also running a business that helps a certain group of people achieve a certain result. So I think that really it could be both, right? For example, I think, parenting is a vocation. For example, I personally believe that. So that could be a life purpose, and maybe that's it, that you're fine with that. Or sometimes there's multiple things going on at once. Maybe you're a community leader, maybe you're a big part of your spiritual community and being a leader there or being very involved. So there's no like one life purpose. I think this is an area where people get very stuck and very tripped up because they think it's like the one and they have to marry the one. And in my experience, not just in my own life, but having coached hundreds of people and had thousands of people go through our digital products over the years, it's just not like that. It's not like that at all. It's something that is a little bit more flexible, malleable, something that you kind of find your way into through inspired action and through intuitive hits. So if you're there sitting at home being like, what's my life, and you're journaling and you're like, what's my life purpose? I need to figure it out right now. Oh my gosh, what is my life purpose? Stop and let go of the control, because you're not going to be able to find it like that. So that's number one. And number two, I think we have peaks and valleys to life purpose. So here's what I mean by that. Over the course of the last 15 years, I've ended up doing a lot of different things. I was a financial writer for a long time. I thought that was going to be my life purpose. Like, yeah, I could talk about money forever. No, that lasted about 7 years. So before I was like, okay, time to do something else. And then, in that case, it wasn't even necessarily an intentional move that I made next. Actually, none of these moves were intentional up until what we're doing now, which was like, okay, well, I've been teaching people how to like manage money and be a financial educator for a long time. I'm kind of over it. Let me teach people how to make money, because if they're not making enough money, then they can't really manage, invest, and do any of that stuff to begin with. People are focusing on the wrong part of the equation. So I got really into teaching marketing and sales and offer creation, all things that we still do to this day. And if you would like help with those things, the information on how we help our clients do that is below. But I had this very interesting thing happen, and I've noticed that I go through a cycle about every 7 years where I have a shift in the purpose, or I get more clear in the purpose. And the latest shift happened insofar as a couple of years ago, I had my marketing and sales training company. I was starting to make 6 figures a month in sales. It was growing very rapidly, and I basically collapsed. And I collapsed for a lot of reasons. I collapsed because my business was built in a way that was unsustainable. I wasn't fully supported. We had a lot of family health emergencies going on at the same time. So I just basically was like, F all of this, I want to burn it all down to the ground and start over, which is kind of what I did. And I went through this process of losing everything first. And I think a mistake that people make when it comes to figuring out your life purpose is they think they need to be like independently wealthy or something like that in order to be like, yes, now I can sit around and figure out what my life purpose is because I don't need to worry about money. And that can also be false because in my case, I basically lost all my money first and then I got more clear on the life purpose because when I started coming out of that, rather than chasing money, which is also a mistake that people make, rather than chasing money, I thought to myself when I said, well, if I'm starting my life over, I'm going to be a lot more intentional. And that's how I ended up in the relationship that I'm in now. That's how I ended up living in Mexico. And that's how I ended up building a brand with my fiance that in 90 days made us 6 figures in sales. It's Entrepreneur Expat. So it's all been very intentional, little by little. And I got to this space where I'm like, okay, relationships are good, health is good, money is starting to flow again. We figured it out, where we're moving, where we're going. We're a little bit more grounded just staying in this area of Mexico, at least for a while we're doing a lot of holistic health trainings. And I thought to myself, okay, well, what's the next layer of my purpose? Because I got a lot to say, and I got a lot to do, and I have a lot of things to teach. And I really had to sit with this, and I'll walk you through the process that I've gone through over the last 2 or 3 years. So number one is I had to get very intentional. And what I mean by getting very intentional is just take money off the table. In my case, the money had to get taken away from me in a lot of ways because the universe is very funny like that. But take money off the table. If money were a non-issue, what would you be doing? And when I started asking myself that question, I realized, well, I'd be starting a channel like Mindful Success Path. I'd be helping people, with how to use their brains. I'd be teaching on spirituality and manifestation and energy work and all those things because all of those things is really the foundation of the life that I have today. It's not that I wasn't doing those things before, I was, but it was still like very mental. It wasn't necessarily fully embodied yet. So I was like, oh, I'd be teaching these things, right? I'd be teaching about masculine and feminine polarity and dynamics. I'd be talking about neuroscience. I'd be really helping people figure out their brains and how to use it to get to where they want to go because that's completely changed my life. So when I really sat down with it, I was like, okay, that's what I would do. Another thing you might want to look at, right, is either when you are online and you're looking at people that you enjoy, when are you inspired and when are you triggered? So there's a reason for that. Normally, if you are going online and let's say you run into one of my videos or somebody else's video and they're doing something that your soul is calling you to do, one of two things happens. You either get inspired or you get triggered. So notice where you are either getting inspired or triggered. Because if you're getting inspired, then you're like, okay, yeah, I want to do that and I can do that and I really want to do that, right? If you're getting triggered or you're feeling a bit of jealousy or you're getting angry or something like that, which is actually something that used to happen to me, by the way, so calling myself out on this, it's because your soul's calling you to do that thing a lot of the time, and maybe you have an internal story going on as to why you can't. So for example, I would see a lot of spiritual teachers or energetics teachers and things like that, or people teaching neuroscience, and I'd get kind of upset and I'd be like in my seat, right? And I'd get kind of annoyed. And I realize now in retrospect that the reason why I was getting annoyed is because I wished I could do what they were doing and I thought that I couldn't. And the reason why I thought that I couldn't was because I was like, well, how do you make money doing that? Because you have to teach marketing and sales in order for people to make money, right? You have to do that. And it's not necessarily true. Now, that being said, I still teach marketing, sales. I use marketing and sales to bring in business because I'm very well versed in it, but I don't have to stay stuck there forever. I'm quite a dynamic person. So I started paying attention to where I was getting triggered. And I've noticed this with clients too, like where they get mad and where they get upset is normally the direction that they want to be moving in, but they feel for some reason like they can't. So if you are getting triggered, watching people, ask yourself, okay, do I really actually want to be doing this? And that's why I'm getting upset, because I want to be on that stage, or I want to be running that ministry, or I want to be doing that thing that they're doing, or I want that relationship. Really be honest with yourself, because when most people are triggered, that's what they want, but they feel like they cannot have it. And then finally, start looking at how you can combine all of your gifts and your talents together. So when I take these two into account, right, I look at, okay, well, what would I be doing if money were not an issue? And having the faith and the trust to move in that direction, even if money's not perfect, and start moving there in your spare time or something like that. And then number two, I look at where I'm either inspired or triggered. And then number three, that starts giving you more clarity. And then number three, the next layer to add on is, okay, well, how can I combine all of my skill sets? So in my case, I love creating content. It's one of my favorite things in the whole world. One of the things that I loved about being a finance writer for 8 years was that I just got to write and create stuff all day long. And when I went more into the marketing and sales training company, there was a few years there where I was not really able to do that to the degree that I wanted to, because there was a lot of systems, there was a lot of infrastructure. I was going through different seasons of my life. I mean, like I said, I went through some pretty big life changes in a very short amount of time, including, finding a relationship, getting engaged, moving to another country, traveling full time, rebuilding. Like, there was a lot going on, okay? So I couldn't necessarily do that. But once I had the time and the space, then I was able to sit down and be like, okay, well, where do all of my gifts and talents kind of combine? And I started doing that. And I came to the conclusion of like, okay, well, I love sales and marketing, and I love creating content. Do I want to like just have a YouTube channel on that? No. I can let Justin have a YouTube channel on that, because that's more in alignment with his life purpose in terms of what he wants to do and where he gets inspired or triggered. That's more in alignment, but me, not really. Been there, done that, kind of want to move on. However, I can still use those same skill sets from all that time that I spent learning these things and teaching these things to then grow something like Mindful Success Path, which is more about how to use your brain and the energetics and really the internal work about business. And I had this realization while I was journaling today where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for the 15 years in marketing and sales. I'm so grateful even for all the struggles that I've had. I'm grateful for having made a lot of money and lost a lot of money. I'm grateful for having gotten into debt. I'm grateful for all these things, because for a long time, I was only focused on the tactical strategy stuff, because at the time, that's what I needed. That's what I needed to understand. Then when I made a lot of money from the tactical strategy stuff, but I wasn't able to keep any of it, and that pushed me more into internal work and energetic work and holistic healing and hypnosis and chakras and all these energetics and all these things. And now I'm in a position where I can combine the two in order to move toward my purpose and what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm supposed to be reflecting back to people that they can have whatever it is that they desire in life, and that they can have those results without all the extra stress, that they can have those results without having to run themselves into the ground like I did. So I can mix all of my talents in terms of being an excellent teacher and an excellent coach, mixed with the topics that I'm completely obsessed about, which is the neuroscience and the energetics, mixed with my skills in marketing and sales that I also really love, but I just don't want to be making content about marketing and sales. But I'm going to be using those skills in order to create the content and the art and the mission and the purpose that I do want to do. And if all of that fails, if all of that just completely fails and you still can't figure it out, just ask Spirit. Ask Spirit to show you. In the last 2 or 3 years, when I was going through a lot of life changes, mostly for the positive, the last thing that I've been able to figure out is career and money. It's not that like I wasn't making money, it's just more like the spark wasn't there like it once was. The motivation wasn't there, the hustle wasn't there, because my values changed, my life changed, everything changed. So I spent like 2 or 3 years not being clear on okay, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Because I don't know anymore. Because I've changed so much that what I was doing before I don't really relate to. But those are really valuable skills and really valuable things that I can teach people. Okay, Spirit, show me what I'm supposed to do with this. And little by little, I started getting guided to certain things. So, for example, we end up spending more time in Guadalajara, Mexico, and Justin had us signed up for a class with his holistic healer who got him off of a bunch of medication and stuff like that. He's like, oh, hey, I literally landed in Mexico. I've been in Mexico a week. And he's like, hey, I signed us up for this class with my holistic healer. I think it's about like crystals or something. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And we get there, and it ends up being an entire certification program on holistic healing and quantum healing and herbology and energy healing and all these things. We were taking the class with lawyers, nurses, therapists, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I think I'm being put in this direction. And then it gets even better. Then that class ends, and then some of our classmates from there start their own classes because our main teacher moved to another city in Mexico. So they start doing local classes, and they're like, hey, do you want to be a part of it? And like, we don't know where anything is in this city yet because we're still getting like acclimated, and it ends up being 3 blocks from where we live. And for the last several months, we've been doing a meditation and more than meditation, but meditation training here in Mexico every Tuesday for the last 6 months. And we're really starting to be a part of that spiritual community. So I see these things happening, and I see these little synchronicities and all these things that I didn't plan for. And I was like, okay. And I start following that intuition. So start paying attention to the little like breadcrumbs that the universe is leaving for you, right? I'm going to start calling them like little sparkles or something. I don't like breadcrumbs because it reminds me of breadcrumbing in dating, but find these little sparkles, right? Find these little clues that the universe is leading you toward in what it is that you're supposed to do, and be okay with the fact that if you take some detours. Because my stint in finance and my stint in sales and marketing, those were detours, but they were necessary detours for me to learn the skills that I needed to learn to get to where I am today, which is why I said in the beginning of this program, don't get stressed out over life purpose. You're going to figure it out as you go. And there are certain things that you can only see in retrospect. So ask if you're confused. Use some of the tips in this video and trust the process. If you guys found this video helpful, please give it a like, a thumbs up. It helps us with the algorithm gods around here. And also make sure to comment below and let us know if you found any of these tips helpful, which one it is that you're going to be incorporating into your life. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.